call the member for Blacktown.
Thank you, Speaker. I rise to announce to this Parliament that Council lawyers have indicated the energy from waste incineration proposal located in Eastern Creek has finally been defeated. The Next Generation TNG by DADI Group first proposed in 2014 a facility that would incinerate 1.1 million tonnes of residential waste in Western Sydney. The group of companies that grew out from a dial-a-dump empire that was a skip bin operator with many infractions with environmental breaches expanded to purchase a massive pit in Eastern Creek to continue its skip bin dumping of rubbish. The proprietors somehow stumbled across the energy from waste incinerator technology used extensively in Europe and Japan and thought it was a good idea to have it here. From skip bin collector and rubbish dumper to become one of the world's largest operators of a highly technical, environmental challenging incinerator process, what could go wrong with such a transformation? In my mayoral role at the time, and accompanied by Council Officer Vanessa Parks, we met with several members of the Legislative Council, including the Honourable Penny Sharp, John Graham, Paul Green and Matthew Mason-Cox in 2017 to discuss the need to have a public inquiry into waste management, particularly in relation to energy from waste technology as the planning and environmental standards were out of date. The inquiry terms of reference was drawn up in 2017 and the inquiry tabled its report on the 28th of March 2018. The government responded to the recommendations on the 17th of September 2018. I note the recommendation number 20 of the committee was that, subject to the current assessment process being conducted by the New South Wales Department of Planning and Environment, the New South Wales Government not approve the energy from waste facility proposed by the Next Generation at Eastern Creek. The Minister at the time was the Honourable Gabriel Upton MP and noted the recommendation and stated on the 19th of July 2018 that the Independent Planning Commission refused the development consent of this project. A further 5 years has passed and appeal processes plus changes in environment regulations has resulted in this project finally being defeated with a great win for local residents. Unfortunately, due to a lack of appropriate regulations and laws, plus the bloody-mindedness of the proprietors with deep financial pockets, resulted in several court cases being launched and continued unnecessarily creating stress in the community. I was elected to this place on the 14th of October 2017, and by April 2018 I delivered a second reading speech on my private member's bill, the Environmental Planning Assessment Amendment, Monitoring and Restrictions on the Recovery of Energy from Waste Bill 2018. Unfortunately, this bill was voted down by the Liberal National Government at the time. The government then did have some internal opposition to their do-nothing approach, and I thank the member from Mulgoa, now the renamed seat of Badgerys Creek, Tanya Davis, for her tenacity in lobbying her colleagues, and on many occasions we both together approached various ministers responsible for regulations and laws for this incinerator waste processing plants. The government finally listened and announced new regulations, the Protection of the Environment Operations General Amendment Thermal Energy Waste Regulation of 2022, which restricted the possibility of incinerator to just 4 precincts in Lithgow, Parks, Richmond Valley, Southern Goulburn. I understand many of these precincts are fighting against the incinerate proposals, and I congratulate Michael Pilbrow, Ursula Stevens and many of the people in the area standing up against the proposal in Goulburn. I also welcome the Country Women's Association adopting resolutions to advocate for the newly elected New South Wales Government to rescind its decision to establish waste-to-energy decisions and to instead immediately introduce technology and waste reduction programs that use methods that minimise greenhouse gas emissions in Richmond Valley. I thank the community in Blacktown City area for their staunch outspokenness against the proposals. Many of the community meetings were held with large number of people in attendance over the years. The petition writing to the ministers, as well as quality submissions during the DA assessment process. I particularly mention Kerry Bradbury, who's a local mum community volunteer at the local football club and PNC, outspoken critic of the project, but despite all this, getting legal threats from the proponents to silence her. Many of the other people, including Mayor Ulick, Colin Bosworth, Leah Lagar, Alicia Schofield, Kim Vernon and Martin O'Reilly. I thank my parliamentary colleagues, the member for Mount Druitt and Prospect, for their support. Also our federal colleagues McMahon and Chifley for their hard fought against this proposal, and Councillor Carol Israel, Blacktown Council, and officers Glennis James and many others that worked together. I thank everyone for their participation.
Member.